marketing isn't going anywhere. The world is leaning into it. It's the future of marketing itself. The future of marketing is much more decentralized. It is, everything is available to people become e-commerce storefronts in the future, as opposed to having to aggregators. Can go ahead. So then looked at the market going on in social and asked what they're really. We found a few things that sort of define the future of marketing. And one is that, again, influence nowadays, followers you have, the quality of the you have you're following. Celebrity influencers do. And increasingly, brands are starting to look down at chatter and conversation at that level. Want to access peer of influence. They have deeper relationships, they have greater trust, they're far more relevant, and because 99% of social media users are nanos, if you engage nanos, you actually can build scalable marketing programs. So what we started to see in the research is that even versus with nanos, it's going to get you better sales leads quickly than if you do traditional media. Okay. So we created a platform that organizes social capital. We are a multi-channel media, entertainment, and data company here out of Nairobi, Kenya. So what we've built is an advertising marketplace. That is an opportunity for brands to come and access a self-serve platform to create campaigns that engage the audiences that they want to engage. We utilize peer methodology, peer influence methodology, all that we and are about identifying trust where it exists within communities, unique communities, cataloging it, organizing it, and then making it available for brands to access. And then we obviously offer, in addition to kind of a matching service, we really offer the end-to-end solution, total management for campaigns themselves. That is helpful for brands. Make that process, have real-time reporting, centralized invoicing, and the ability to, as you know, just not opportunity. We've set a real create 1 million jobs in 2021 by streamlining influencer marketing services for brands of all kinds, for companies of all sizes, across all industries. All right. And so, thank you. And so practically what we've done is, we say we've built, this is an image of a Lunar Modular that takes people to the moon. And what you see here quickly is at the very, very bottom, the first stage of the rocket, this is where our nanos are. This is the biggest part of our operating system, and it is made up of thousands and thousands and thousands of everyday people, just like you, just like me, who essentially act as boosters to people and people at the very top. So when we create content, we can essentially warm around. When we engage brand, it doesn't have to be. It's not just that the influencer is creating the most compelling content. Sometimes you get micros and nanos actually create something way that a celebrity's content might not. And when we see that engagement and we see that activity online, we're actually able to hone in on it and boost it. Again, tons of influencers at a time. So this dynamic, it's made of some of the best technology the world stage on this front. And for everyone in the room, I mean, this is truly. I joined the company a year ago after being an early customer. I was super impressed with what the team had built, and I basically begged them for a job. But here I am today. So that's what we've built. Can go on. And then I'll keep this live. As I mentioned, self-service platform where you can go ahead and dial in anything you want. That's fine. On the influencer side, it's really, really easy. Go to the Play Store, download the app, social profiles, get verified to jobs right. So this is a process that takes away all of the friction that people engaging in brands directly. Brands have removed all of the friction dealing with or managing manual individual relationships that are pretty here. Influencers, you look at the brief, you can say very quickly, am I in or am I out? Or do I want to? And so it doesn't waste time either. And for brands, what we've made available is a transparent reporting system. So you've got a dashboard. It's your central location for all information related to every campaign you've ever run. And you can drill down into, what were the actual posts that went up? What did the engagement look like? You get demographic breakdowns of who participated, where they were based, top posts. So there's no question there's no question if you're a brand manager and have to go report on what happened, you'll be able to show very, very easily what the results of your campaign were and the value that it created for the brand. And so essentially, our ability to group influencers on the back end has created really what we believe is Africa's smartest targeting software. And so when you think about niche communities and developing groups of highly relevant, tightly bound groups of interest based on interest or profession or location or other demographic factors like income level, what we've built is an incredible tool for brands to almost become, microscopic or use a scalpel to think about engagement with customers. And you can do it at scale. And you can do it nationwide, and you can turn it on almost instantly. So that's a value proposition that brands haven't seen before, and so they come to us with requests for campaigns that they would have never been able to ask for before. Mike will get to a few of those in a minute, but it would have just been impossible previously for Safaricom or for Netflix to come and ask to engage 5,000 influencers in one go. It wasn't possible before. And it didn't make sense, especially if you think about engaging nano and micro influencers who may be only getting paid $5 or $10 for a post or for a job. That kind of management just wasn't possible before. And so that's what technology gets you. That's what a good algorithm gets you. That's what Wowzi has built. All right. And then, finally, actually we can skip this one because you'll go to case studies. What I wanted to show you, and what I want to be really transparent about, is the fact that Wowzi has built something that really focuses on, again, everyday people. This is a heat map of how jobs are distributed on the Wowzi platform. So if you'd looked at that rocket ship, you'll notice that there were different tiers of influencers according to their followership and reach. On the left side, kind of all in red, you've got the mega folks. On the right side, you've got all of our nanos. What this heat map shows is that almost 90% of the jobs and the dollars that get returned to influencers on the Wowzi platform is actually channeled into those nano, micro, and macro categories. And so there is influencers to engage with brands. We do support 100% on the platform, but what we're really making possible for the first time ever is for emerging creators to break through. There's an opportunity for you to get noticed on the Wowzi platform in a way that hasn't been possible before. So we created direct connection between great, micro, nano content creators in big brands. And so we found over and over again that in our experience, that when you surface an unlikely, amazing, nano content creator, brands want to ask for them over and over. And so it's a really interesting place, and frankly, it bucks the trend of most creator platforms that currently exist out on the market. Traditionally or typically, you'd see a handful of names being the top earners month on month on month on month. Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, you get the gist. And so in the traditional game as it's been for the last half dozen years or so in influence, it's really been all about the number of followers you have, period, full stop. What we're saying at Wowzi, it's all about the connection that you have, the degree to which you move and actually influence the people around you. So you could be a banking CEO with only 2,000 followers, but you have outside influence with the community that's around you. And so we're kind of flipping the script on what it means to have influence, and we are creating a really big tent under which we can all stand as influencers. So again, I wanted to show you this in particular to just this visual is, if you show anyone who works for any other influencer platform on the planet, they will go, wow, because this is really, really, really different from what's out there right now. The incentives are different, the buyer is different, and so we've created an environment, again, where young creators can rise. So I'll stop there on the details of Wowzi, and I'm going to let Mike take over and talk about, not the professor stuff, but the real good content.
Thanks a lot, Johnny. So there's a video I'll play just as context. I think the team will help us just play it, but it's just a series of a multitude of different content pieces that we've seen on the Wowzi platform across the different tiers. And then after that, Johnny will ask me some very pointed questions to where I'll share insights on what we're seeing, what are some of the trends, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. So if we can have the video played, that would be amazing. This was for a Bata campaign, back to school. We got a bunch of dancers to just, drive Kenya crazy about the...
Hey guys! So, I discovered the Wowzi app, which gives me a great chance to collaborate with some of my favorite brands!
Obviously, we have the premium influencers as well, who are with Procter & Gamble and the likes. Get your life, little mama, won't you get your life? This was so fascinating. One of our creators did a Guinness cake. So that cake is made of Guinness. So whenever... oh, she's here, yeah? Yeah. And now when Guinness have a campaign or anything, she creates.
of being discouraged, I decided, you know what, I'll keep trying and
we have momfluencers. They do amazing job on the platform
and create a good foundation for him.
Thank you so much, Ariel. I have received your gift, and I am looking forward to tell you how it smells, how it looks, and how it makes me look every single day. Lasting lavender, a fresh new scent from Ariel. Aya, tunani. Cheers. Mwah.
The feeling of smelling great, that's what makes me feel extraordinary. Morning!
You smell nice. Jana, Leo.
It's a new Downy, my dear. It's a new Downy.
Our very own Dave, our designer. So yeah, he's in the room. But yeah, I thought I'd just share that for you guys to see the diversity of content and the fact that content is now democratized. And there's an emerging community of content creators who, as a brand, you can be able to leverage. So I'm going to stop there, and Johnny will ask me a few questions to just share some insights, and then we'll open it up to all of us.
Wait. Before I get to you, Mike, I am very interested in the lady in the back who made the Guinness cake video. Can we be friends? Because I really want to eat that cake. That was like, it's probably my favorite Wowzi video of all time. So congratulations.
Awesome.
Cool. So, you know, Mike, we have at Wowzi have had, it's kind of our daily honor and privilege to, you know, put campaigns out there and then just to watch people come back with amazing stuff. Stuff you can't imagine. I guess for you, I'm curious, what has surprised you the most about the level of creativity and some of the like most out of the box moments that we've had as Wowzi with Kenyan creators?
Yeah, I think one of the most surprising ones was obviously Ochi Grande. He creatively created some content while in the middle of the sea, for example. And
so he lives on the sea.
He spends most of his time in the sea. He's a tour guide in Watamu. He speaks fluent Italian. He's Kenyan, and most of the times he's, you know, touring around with tourists or, you know, domestic tourists like us. And Safaricom obviously had a problem to try and spread the message that, hey, we have very, very wide reach coverage which works anywhere. And so Ochi goes ahead and picks an actual call in the middle of the sea. You know, it's being recorded by his friend, and he says, you know, hii network ni clear sana, nakusikia vizuri sana, niko kwa bahari. So that was fascinating, you know, as it's very difficult for the brand to just sit down in a room and think about that kind of idea. But by collaborating with Ochi, you get to spread the message in a very relatable way. So his peer fishermen got to learn about Safaricom, brand love increased, and I know NJ is here. He can confirm that a lot of those campaigns gave both revenue metrics, like we could literally go back to see what sort of revenue Safaricom increased when we ran campaigns. At the same time, even more importantly, brand metrics, where you begin talking about brand love, their NPS score improving. So those surprised me. Yeah, that's one of the ones. Yeah.
So you're talking about an individual who kind of already does a couple of jobs, and in downtime is able to and start earning with Wowzi.
Precisely. About it, Ochi is one example. I think the other interesting example was taxi drivers. So who could imagine taxi drivers can work with Netflix? But here was the thing, then, you know, Netflix was thinking about introducing something very fresh. It chose only 2 countries in the world to launch this. So Kenya was one of them, Vietnam was the other, And for a year, they made Netflix free. And we were cracking our brains trying to figure out what sort of influences would bring this message home. And taxi drivers came to mind. They've bought bundles for the whole day already because they want to be online to get rides. At the same time, they have downtime, which is something you've spoken about. So right now, outside here, there's a lot of taxi drivers who know we're about to leave and they're waiting. What are they doing in their downtime? Couldn't that be an opportunity for them to earn some additional income while creating content to tell their fellow taxi drivers that, hey, by the way, when you're relaxing, you can be able to watch Netflix for free. So that's another example of creators just pushing and creating very rich content that surprises both us and surprises the brands as well. So yeah.
Great. Talk a lot in our office about the business case for around building communities. But I think at a personal level, there's something really important about the communities built through Wowzi. That is influencers participating actively and joining for the first time or realizing that they're part of a community that's larger than themselves. Can you give an example of communities where influencers really get involved, step up, and to their own as a result?
Yeah, there've been very good question. There've been multiple communities, and in Wowzi we are very passionate about communities because when you build the right communities, then you give brands very unique ways of engaging their audience. I think my favorite one is for sure. So building communities of moms become very valuable for, Compass or Nestle. I remember that one time Nestle wanted something very specific. Can you get us moms with kids between ages 2 to 5? And through the platform, you're able to group these communities and add so much value to a campaign. The same moms become very valuable for Netflix when they're trying to promote parental controls. And when I was looking at some of those content, the moms are talking about, hey, I've been wondering how to stop my child or my teenager from watching adult content, and they go out there and share authentically with their own phone, in their own house, other moms. So moms speaking to moms. So I thought that was quite brilliant as a community. That's one of my favorite to see.
Moms are such an interesting kind of world unto themselves. On one hand, you've got, I think, probably in the community, a group of moms who are finding that they have a voice for the first time. They thought, okay, I'm just a mom. That's who wants to hear me talk about anything. On the other hand, you've got a set of outspoken moms who really have a sense of what their power is in communities. What's the interplay between people who are kind of on both sides of that? How do they get along?
I think at the end of the day, what we need for more education, and sometimes the difference between bad content and good content is something as simple as lighting. Did you shoot with the right lighting? Did you hold your camera the right way? So what we are doing is, for those moms who are joining in very green, they've never created content, we're taking them through this funnel of mentorship and coaching and training where we build those skills that they need to be able to succeed, right? So that aspect of building their capacity through example is so powerful. And every week, join the Wowzi platform, you might see lives that are hosted by the other moms who are more seasoned. And so this peer-to-peer learning and mentoring thing is starting to make the community richer. And what we are seeing is the content types are growing. I think the other one that surprised me, or I've seen, is the aspect of co-creation. So creator A working with creator B on a very specific content piece, And because they're doing it together, they're self-critiquing, so by the time it's coming to our team for review, the content is already by design improving and improving. So that's something that I've been seeing happening very well.
Cool. I mean, moving on just a little bit, everyone in the room, it's like we're sitting on stage here telling you right now that and that we've got your interests, your best interests at heart. I think for any influencer, though, who's sitting in this room, they've probably been burned before by bad brand engagements, bad interactions. They've had to chase payment. They feel like if there's a middleman involved, that middleman is just out to eat as much of their lunch as they can. I'm curious, like in this market in particular, how do you build trust with influencers who maybe haven't had great experiences before? These are the seasoned, tried and true folks who are and like really trying to make a living and hone an audience and create a name for themselves. How do you build trust?
I think payments is a very strong point around trust building. And as well as you've been reflecting on this problem even before we even started building the product. And one of the things that came out very strongly is the need for standardization of pricing. So we did a lot of research, we spoke to influencers, we spoke to brands, to begin coming to ranges that, you know, if you're in this range as an influencer and you have this level of engagement, maybe this is the price range that you should be in. So that standardization has really helped. I think that was the first layer. The second layer would be paying on time, keeping your word, right? And so Wowzi flipped it, because when we spoke to a lot of creators, we did about 1,500 conversations in the early days just doing research, and guys were like, you know, I've been waiting for 2 years for this payment, I've left it. I don't even follow it up anyway. The story of the finance director or manager who's always traveling. You know, he's traveling, he's not in the office. We've had that a lot. And so Wowzi flips this and says, hey guys, we're gonna pay you in 7 days. This has surprised even celebrities who are like, wait, I did my campaign last week, I did my post, in 7 days you receive what we call the love message. It's either your M-Pesa or goes to your bank account on Mondays and Thursdays, strictly. Joyce is at the back, so she's our finance lady. Like, that's what keeps her awake at night. It's all systemized, it's all, you know, on the platform. Every Mondays and Thursdays, 5 p.m., people receive their dues. So that has enhanced the trust levels. I think the last layer is, how do you make this income sustainable and meaningful? So we're starting to think about things like minimum wage for the nano influencers. Can we develop a price level or demand from brands that allows an individual nano influencers to make as much as minimum wage in Kenya or whichever country we go to? Those are things that we think about a lot. So this income is not only, you know, coming fast in a timely manner, but it's also very sustainable. And I think for a lady like her who does amazing cake, it's us going back to the likes of Diageo and saying, hey, can we have more long-term, you know, campaigns, so that she knows between the next 6 to 18 months she has assured campaigns. This has been happening at the celebrity level, but we're going back to brands and saying, no. Even nano influencers deserve more long-term campaigns so that they can be able to earn more meaningfully in a dignified manner and sustainably.
Okay, so this is good, but even long-term campaigns, you know, they only go so far. I'm curious, and actually in the last session I heard a really good comment in the room that someone said they'd seen, you know, people's profiles where, yes, they're real people, but they have almost just become digital billboards, where they're just kind of, it's what, you know, whatever brand message it is of the day. Are we just creating digital billboards in a new way, in a new place, that are just kind of invading your space online? or what are we doing? Especially as it relates to creating more opportunities for people to make real money.
So yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. We don't want to turn people into digital billboards. So part of our algorithm's capabilities is to limit the number of gigs that come to people. So that's one way that we are trying to solve for that. But the other more interesting way is to give different type of jobs that don't necessarily require you to post, right?
Say more.
And so for instance, sometimes we ask our influencers to do things like, answer a survey for pay. I know a very good example where one of the top agencies here used the Wowzi platform to ask a very specific question to influencers. They wanted to understand, how do Kenyan sit around as 2-3 people, because there's no one way Kenyans say cheers, or you could ask a community of thousands. So they ran this campaign, they asked the influencers. In about 10-15 minutes, we had 1,053 variations of the word cheers. So that's just an example that somebody did the job. It didn't necessarily involve them posting, but they made some income. The other way is more offline-based campaigns, where you are required to do something offline. We go somewhere, create content, speak to people. I think the other interesting one was the one with farmers, where farmers can take photos for pay. So we think of Wowzi not just as an influencer platform, but really a clearinghouse for different jobs. So that way, income is sustained irrespective of your page not looking like a billboard.
So it isn't just about public influence all day, all the time.
Yeah, it's not, and that's why it's an opportunity for even people who may not want to be camera facing, they're not photogenic, to also join the platform and earn sustainably. So that's how we are thinking about it long term, and that's why we are really positioning more as a future of work, provider, as opposed to just
I really like the idea of people, of payers, buyers, basically, not just going to influencers to go perform this job, but I really like the idea of the same guys coming back and actually asking influencers, what do you really think about this? You are a thought leader, is really know something about how mass transportation works. Yeah, we understand, really know what it's like on the ground as a farmer or hospital as a doctor, and we want to hear from you on your expertise. So suddenly we're not just treating influencers like pay to play for going and performing a task, but we're treating them like respected industry experts whose opinions actually are useful in other ways.
Precisely. That's exactly what's happening. Is trust has been democratized to very small levels, and it's all of a sudden having these experts, share their experiences and so on. The campaign used house managers, as I call them, and this time trying to figure out best detergent to use in the house. Experts. So brought this idea of influence to cover all these different communities and unlocks new ways of connecting. So that's how we think about it.
Cool. So, solution, what are our blind spots?
We've not figured it all out. I think it's going to be a long journey. I think for me, one of the things that keeps me awake at night is that minimum wage. To achieve it, many values that have to be true. You have to find a brand who loves to find influencers and find influencers who produce great content in a sustainable manner and do that in multiple markets. Variables are many. But I think as an industry, as an ecosystem of creatives, of agencies, of brands, there's ways that we can put our collective strengths to build this value that ultimately solves some of our biggest problems as a continent. So, yeah.
Great. So I want to really hear a little bit from folks in the audience this afternoon as we get into the final leg of our today. And I want to do two things. First of all, I'm and honest with each other. I'd like to hear from a few influencers and from a few people on the brand side. We are kind of a clearinghouse between both parties, and we realize that there is still a lot of work to do on both sides to make the experience better and to make people's time more productive and to get the best out of everyone involved. So Mike is available for questions, but I'd actually like to hear, honestly, from a couple of influencer voices out there, what are the things that you still really, really struggle with that you just feel like people aren't paying enough attention to, where we could be focusing our efforts that would just make all the difference in the world to you? Anyone brave enough to raise their hand and tell us what we ought to do better? Or brands? Yes, please. I'm happy. Oh, looks like we got a mic on the way.
Thank you. Hi, so my name is Kezia again, and I'm actually in the business of social influence. So I'm not just trying to look cool and be online. I'm actually trying to cause actual change. So what I do is I influence mothers and women through the journey into motherhood, all right? I, first of all, believe that if I'm not in touch with my following directly, I'm not causing influence. So the first question is, all my influence, in Kenya, I looked at the penetration of WhatsApp, and it's very high. If you want to get in touch with me, my influence is on WhatsApp. I have more than 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people on WhatsApp, just opening groups and being able to touch base with these people. And then I'm able to link them up with the medical fraternity, which now I would work with the Aga Khans and those kind of people. Now, according to me, I don't know how Wowzi is going to find me. I don't know how you're going to justify the likes. I don't know how you're going to share the posts, etc. So that's my first honest. That influence doesn't always mean that I'm able to create awareness. Sometimes it actually creates educational change. So if to still cause a change without looking at tweets and likes, etc. Which brings me to my next point. I feel like the environment has been custom made for influencers to only work a certain way. I'm a creative first. I create with or without my camera. So if I was to create even with a woman in the room, I didn't have to show that on a billboard. Why is the influencer space forcing us to a certain direction of influence, meaning digital social likes and YouTube trends and reels, etc., when there are different avenues of influence? Like, for example, right now there's no one going into stores able to penetrate all 5,000 houses with the sample product. So Nestle wouldn't even be outside there. They just need to send me. I'm able to cause the ripple effect, create the influence online, and return with a survey, for example. It's still influence. It's just that it's a very different angle. That's where I'm struggling. I'm struggling because I have the target market, but I'm thinking on a creative level, and it's unfortunately, I'm not being pushed in the typical way of influence, and so I'm losing.
Thank you for sharing that, yes.
Interesting. So a couple of things. I think Haron is at the back of the room, so he's going to try to sign you up. But anyway, the first point is quite interesting. Do you know the biggest insight we've found in Wowzi over, couple of years we've been doing this, is that most influence happens offline. That's the first point. It's in very small communities, in houses, and those border riders are leaving their borders and going for lunch. That's where influence happens. And that is an insight that it's always in our head, and it has allowed us to not overemphasize the likes and shares. In fact, those have come to be called Vanity Metrics, because influence actually happens offline, and it's one voice after the other. And at Wowzi, we appreciate that. Last week, visiting, we're running a very organization around organic food. And in this case, the influencers are farmers. I remember going down to Moranga, meeting Peter the farmer, and I was like, hey, Peter, you seem like an interesting influencer. Which platforms are you on? You know what he said? He said, I'm on WhatsApp. And he showed 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups of farmers organized already around organic. You can't use pesticides, but you still have to deal with pests. So he shows me how he's educating other farmers to use rabbit urine as pesticide. And he showed me a short video. He also showed me one where worms, because the natural state of the soil is with worms. And he's taken that picture and he posted it on WhatsApp. Like internally as a team, we have a very robust product team, and we ended up fast tracking our integration with WhatsApp just to make it as a critical channel that we can be able to add on to, right? Haron, who helps us with our community building, has started organizing admin groups, estate admin groups who are so powerful to begin again learning from the influence. The hardest bit is obviously do we measure it through likes and so on and so forth. So we let the engineering team figure that out. We create this that can still be reported, because still one and find unique, interesting ways that are witty and innovative to start with. That, hey, I took this video, I trained so many moms, and I did so many screenshots, right? As simple as that. But over time, we'll make it even more sophisticated. But I think I'm coming from a position of, we hear you, we actually are thinking about WhatsApp, we think influence happens mostly offline, and that trend is starting to pick up. So people like yourself are becoming more and more valuable in the ecosystem than Vanity Metrics.
Anyone else? Yes, please.
Thank you. I love how you expressed that. You couldn't have said it better. My name is Ziana Mohammed. I'm the Corporate Communications Manager, Kenya Bureau of Standards. And I wanted to add on to what you told the young lady, Kezia. Kezia, it's just a matter of, like the way Martin said it, Mato said it, how are you pitching yourself towards these brands? How are you pitching yourself towards the agencies? He's given you a simple example of showing it. You can show it through screenshots. You can show that engagement. I come from a small town. I come from Malindi. That's where I come from, right? There are people who have such strong influence on the ground within the community, accessing, for example, over thousands and thousands, but the person will give you access, right? It's a matter of how you can articulate it. Are you willing to be able to put forward that information? Yeah? You're the only one who can advocate for yourself. We don't know what you do. So you have to do it. You state your claim, tell us who you are, tell us why we should work with you, show us your value. There are people who will be willing to sit down and listen. You might knock 100 doors, and 20 listen, and it makes a difference. Yeah? So, I mean, it's up to you, right? And it's not just Wowzi, I mean, it's so many other people and so many other systems. Just chart your path, create your information, let it be known. Like he said, it's so easy. You could show us those screenshots. These are all the groups. I'm the admin. These are all the women. This is what I've done. It doesn't even have to be a fancy video like he said, where the guy is showing how the pesticide is made. It could be a simple statement. There is free cancer screening at Aga Khan Hospital. Where? What time? How do we go? Is it free? That's evidence, right? I don't know if that's helpful.
Very helpful, yeah.
One more on the influence side. Yes, over here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christine Loang, or AKB, understand it as a young mom. But first, anyway, I'm an electrical engineer and a trained Prince 2 project manager, but somehow I found myself doing content creation as an influencer. So my question to you is, I'm on Wowzi, right? I got on Wowzi, I think I had 60,000 followers, and I have 70 point something followers. I'm growing in numbers, and I'm working with a brand. Let me just name them, Jumia. And since I started working with them, we have this relationship with their boss, where she tells me, Christine, once we interact with you, I want you to grow as a brand as well. I just don't want you, hey, these are the metrics, make them, let me make money on my end. But you as a brand, I want you to grow as well. So now, as part of the influencers on Wowzi rather, what is your plan on growing us as a brand? What impact, what quality impact will we feel as influencers? I really don't like that name. As content creators, what value do you add to us besides us bringing in, these are the numbers, this is the influence I have? How do I grow as a brand under Wowzi? I don't know if am I articulating myself clearly?
Yeah, super well.
Very clearly, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the earliest things we wrote, those napkins conversation, yeah, as founders, just thinking about the model. And I remember one of my co-founders writing, Wowzi is the platform that honors creators. Because we looked and we were like, okay, when you think of athletes and athleticism, Nike honors them in various ways, from getting immersed in athleticism, building shoes that grow them, doing a lot of sports science things, taking Eliud to break 2, right? And that became our vision for creators. How do we honor them? How do we honor their craft? And sometimes honoring your craft is simple things like, paying you on time, right? Sometimes it's more sophisticated things like co-creating a campaign with you, where we don't come with all the answers, but we are like, hey, you do understand your audience more than we do, so how do we connect with your audience, right? Not a cookie cutter approach where we have our content, an ugly poster, and ask you to post it, right? So that's one of the areas we've been thinking about. And then now, if you think about having that ability to be part of a community. What if you spend some time, creating Guinness cakes? I don't know, maybe you don't do Guinness, but yeah, Fanta cakes with someone else, right? So all of a sudden, the value is not just you, but the ability to have peer-to-peer interactions where you're brushing off brilliance both ways. I think Johnny will also add, because you have like a whole thesis and plan around this, yeah.
Well, as a startup, we're a small team, and we have major scale-up plans that we're activating now. I think what we have to do is really hire a layer of people who are greatly concerned with your experience and your growth. And what that might look like in the future is someone who is dedicated to premiums, to think with Netflix, and to come to you with ideas on what would the next great creative partnership look like. Because you need a partner. I think oftentimes burden is on the creator to have to think about the whole world of possibility and opportunity. And what you might lack is a partner in that. And what you might lack is also someone who can not just make the introduction, but have the relationship so you can do the track 2 kind of negotiation and think about what the end product might be, how you flex into coming out of a series of stories about motherhood, but make that jump to your story about as being an electrical engineer and a woman in STEM who's inspiring the next generation of female leaders in sciences. And so I sincerely believe that we have a role to play in helping you imagine what could be. Because we'll always be in conversations where you're not going to be present with brands about what are they thinking about, what's next. And it's not for us to just hold on to that information. It is to come back and huddle essentially with you and a group of people like you to think about what could be. And then we are just as much as interested in pitching that with you as your pitch partner, not leaving you out of the room on that. But making sure that you're not alone either. So I think that is an area where you're going to see a lot of growth from Wowzi in particular over the next few quarters, is in our ability to work with and partner with directly premium influencers. So we've got a whole roadmap for things we're working on right now related to that particularly. And then for the nanos out there, we really do have to invest in training programs that are, it's not quote unquote training, it is what Mike said. It's really about understanding what's behind Quest when people say, you need better lighting. What is that about? Someone to give the context for why it matters. Again, not just have people search endlessly online for the answers, but let the industry pros come in and develop short, lightweight, low-level credentialing, sort of programmatic training sessions that help everyone level up, because that's what's needed most. And again, people are not going to be paying Wowzi at the nano level to access those kinds of things. We need to create ourselves a content library and an engagement system of content that we own that is beneficial to the community as well. So those are like real expansion areas for us. But the commitment is there.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give you an example of how maybe data that Wowzi has visibility on can be able to even help you. I know a creator who is in Kenya whose biggest market is China. So she's a top 5 TikToker in China, not even Kenya. And so sometimes data can show you that, hey, the people who listen to you are in Philippines. And maybe you're wasting this channel. So we have these very unique data sets that we're able to help you craft your message better, become even more granular in your targeting and understanding your audiences even better.
Okay, we'll take one more question from the influencer side, and then I'll open it up to the brands as well. You'll be able to then do about it.
It's on the emotive issue about paid and unpaid kind of influencers. Whenever it happens, the screenshots are always flying through and everything else. So I'm not an influencer. I think
you probably are, but yeah, we'll tell you.
Have influence. We're adamant about that.
If somebody sent me an email telling me we have paid and unpaid, and I'm in the unpaid section, I'll be very offended, because for you to approach me, it means I have some influence. So what exactly goes into the whole process? I don't know if Wowzi you do that or everybody is paid on your platform, but also the whole issue about this is paid, this one will be paid, this one will just get 1
Everyone's
kg
paid.
or more, and then we move forward.
Everyone on the Wowzi platform, for work you do, you get paid. You do work, you get paid. That is a fundamental principle.
Oh, perfect answer.
Okay, anyone from the brand side want to be brave enough to tell us what you think and what has to get better in order for you to be successful? Brand side? Going once? Going twice? Okay, oh, I'll...
This in
Oh.
Yeah. That's NJ.
Hi everyone. So I think for me, what probably has to get better is looking at the data, trying to mine the data, especially the qualitative data, qualitative and quantitative. What I mean by that is, yeah, it's very hard for you to put like a number or like a certain price on someone's creativity, right? But then we also need to find out what are the data points that we are able to collect as a business, as influencers, and therefore, what are we seeing that we can now action on as brands? So for me, I think we probably need to build the API ecosystem, trying to see how we can link with other platforms. I know you already do M-Pesa, but is there more opportunities with other other businesses, right? But I think the point for me is how do we look at the data and how do we action and make data-driven decisions based on what we are already seeing that is working.
Yeah, spot on, spot on. I think NJ and us, NJ works at Safaricom, we work extremely very closely with him, his agency team, and Wowzi platform to be as data-driven as possible. I think the first point in terms of being data-driven is it will have to be a partnership between the brand and the platforms. That's one of the things I think would be very critical, because then by the end of the day, if we ran a campaign this morning, by the end of the day we should know what was the impact. Did it drive so much downloads? Did it drive so much sales? And so on. And that's still the hardest job in advertising, is attribution. Do you attribute this to TV, to radio, Billboard, or to Wowzi? Some of the questions that, at the data level, we're already starting to think about. I think you've seen a lot of influencers now having promo codes. So if you have a code, we can be able to track how many, sales shipped on Jumia. So those are all like efforts around trying to close it up from the campaign happened to this was the impact. So spot on. I think data will become more important as we collect it, and as a platform, we are very keen on making sure that we support the influencer community with even more data than they get from the backend on the app.
And I think, it's the flip side of the coin of what we were just talking about. One of the primary, focus areas for us as a brand is we know brands need more and more compelling reasons to continue to support, their spend, different channels. And usually for an agency partner that we work with as well, who under the gun to show results, we have to continue to build products that support, illuminate, make it clear what the ROI is. Dr. Bashir, did you want to contribute? Okay.
I think the question she asked about how you are developing, how are you helping develop the influencer? I think that's an extremely important question. And I'm thinking of, for example, from the beginning point, freeing the influencer to think and create the next campaign, the next content, and freeing the brand, in this case Jumia, to go on the next campaign rather than start measuring what she has done, whether she has done or not. So what the system does is it does the administrative job both for you as well as for Jumia, so that both you and Jumia focus on what matters. You can imagine a job is thrown at you, you work on it, you throw back at them. They take some time to assess and evaluate, and then they come back to you. The cycle time may be longer for you by the time they come back to you and they say the ROI was that, there was no ROI, you have not added value, you have added a lot of value. So here is another job. So imagine if your administrative job was done by a system, you are not invoicing, you are not chasing the finance office for money, you have delivered a service, you walk away and deliver the next service, money hits your phone or wherever your account, and the brand that gave you the work is looking at the dashboard and already knows while you're doing the job that you're actually delivering. And in the evening, as Candy said, or someone in the panel said earlier, in the evening you have the numbers, the brand manager has the numbers. So that's something I think should come out very well. One of the slides you presented earlier, Johnny, showed that we have 31 billion advertising spend in the continent. I don't remember if I got the number right. 31 billion USD advertising spend. Imagine Jumia in Nairobi Street, but you are delivering the same kind of message. The same copy was being played to English-speaking communities in, let's say, in Africa, in Accra, Ghana, or in Abuja, Nigeria, the same. So that also gives you an opportunity to work with Wowzi across vast areas. I think ultimately what the great lady here with the cowboy lady here has asked before, has asked before, if you, I think influencers should take the job. She said you have to craft your skill. Guys who do the job as a side job, those guys will drop off. Ultimately, you will be measured. Systems like Wowzi will measure you on delivery and ultimately rank you and give you a rate. There's a reason why the performing driver of Uber or Bolt gets more job than the non-performing driver. What Wowzi is doing is systemize this industry and rate service providers. Now, you are a service provider, and ultimately you'll be rated. Ultimately, you'll be called more if you're performing. You'll be called less if you are not performing. So I think what the lady was talking about in terms of crafting your deal, crafting your skills, taking this job as a full-time job, honing your skills, improving your communication and delivery, improving your clip creation and your environment, all that ultimately makes you a super influencer. Thank you.
We're definitely most interested in being. Okay, we have, one more over here, and then there's T, and final thoughts from Mike.
Great. So much. My name is Edna Thiongo-Mbugwa. I was moderating a group that was there earlier. And it's just to say, done. Congratulations, Wowzi. I know Dr. Bashir from other platforms in the insurance sector, and he's an amazing leader. And I totally believe in this innovation. I'm a market researcher. I've been in the market research space over 10 years. I've run my business, Breakthrough Consulting, for now 10 years, 10 years next year. I'm so excited to see how you're using data. And I liked what he said about how he went to Muranga and he talked to this farmer, because that's what I do every day. And what we have done is also invest in what we call human-centered design, where we begin with the customer or with the user. We understand their need, and then we tailor-make products and services that will fit them. So I am obviously very excited about discovering Wowzi today. I don't know whether it has been there, because I've just heard about it today. And I'm looking forward to obviously partnering with you, even using your platform for research. I really like the fact that you're now investing in that digital platform where we can collect data faster and speak to more people. And I really want to speak to you more about that and understand how that can happen, because of course traditionally our research process was lengthy, and by the time we are reporting now with this digital disruption, things have already changed. So I really, really love that. What I would actually like to say to influencers, and I like what she said about investing in the business, I would also say that you'd have to invest, and also you would also need to invest in understanding your consumer, profiling yourself and profiling the consumer, and even to brands. If you're taking an influencer, it's not just about whether Kim Kardashian has how many followers in the world, but if today she comes and tells me about a product, I probably will not buy, or many people in this room might not actually buy it, because she may have that following, but she's not the right profile. So we need to actually really profile ourselves as influencers, and also profile the businesses so that we get the right fit, and also we shall get obviously better results. So well done, Wowzi. I look forward to partnering.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is a really important point, and again, it goes back to something we mentioned a little earlier. You as a researcher, be about quality of primary data source. Do you believe it? And in today's world, if you go to a big firm and conduct a focus group where somebody has spent months finding people, you actually may not totally believe what you're hearing out of the room. These guys are the best primary data source on the planet. And so what we're trying to do is package that and offer it up to folks like you, and work with our influencers to really and make it very clear what the expertise is, so that you can leverage that.
Thank you so much. And actually, I would really love to talk about that, because I have created over all across the country. Right now, I'm working in the arid areas. I've been conducting focus groups in Turkana, Garissa, Marsabit, all those places. And it's amazing. And I really love that fact that you're appreciating the influencers in those places.
Yes.
When I was in Garissa, and it's so sad because that's a week ago, and a pastoralist committed suicide. His 100 cows died. And I was like, it's not in the media. It's not anywhere. Nobody's talking about it. You know, we hear a news item and everything, but there's nobody who is really focusing on these stories. And you would get amazing influencers from that region. And maybe, you know, maybe somebody who, a Somali in Nairobi, may not be able to represent that pastoralist. So that idea of going to the areas where people are and picking those, you're calling them nano influencers, is an amazing, amazing idea. And you know, through obviously qualitative research, really using HCDs, we can really deepen that. Thank you.
Great, would love to talk more. This will be our final comment. We're going to then hear from Mike. There's plenty of time for us to talk in the halls.
Okay, as a representative of the government agency, trade, invest in those businesses. Get a sole proprietor. Pre-qualify. This is important. Qualify. That will open up room for you to work with other agencies. As many agencies after the GAA, that one is key. Because where stuck with dealing with my agency. Advertising. I'm my agency to access influencers. I may see an influencer and I'm so impressed by what you're doing, but I can't work with you simply because of red tape and procurement processes and those opportunities. Presentation ever, I can't work with you. You're not registered, gone through the necessary channels. So I'm forced to work with the ones who are brought to my table by either my agency or the ones who've had the opportunity to register themselves. So you end up seeing the same repeated influencers being used over and over again. I urge you, take advantage, learn about government procurement processes. You'll be amazed how much money is sitting there, not getting to use it. Please do.
No, this is really great, and I think we've touched on kind of a nerve here, which is that influence is about the very serious issues that surround our lives every day, not just around nice-to-have products. That is a big part of our business. The whole world out there of need, where influencers have a role to play. We can have an entire conference on that, by the way. We'll do that later. Okay, well, thank you guys. I just want to go back to you, Mike, really quickly. Final thoughts. In conclusion, at the end of the day, we've had a long day. What's ringing in your head? What resonates with you based on what you've heard today? What words do you have as we depart?
I think it's a story. It's the article that was and he sold $2 billion of lipstick on Singles Day, just on live. So I think in my mind is, as Kenya's influencer marketing is maturing, what's the East doing, what's the West doing, and beginning to even look ahead to see what next. I think social selling will be huge, where we all of us as influencers turn ourselves into e-commerce storefronts, selling different products that we care about. And so for me, I think that's a huge trend. I think live selling or live creation is going to be a trend that we should be watchful of, because people are spending more time watching others. In the morning we heard of kids, mostly Gen Z and Alpha, who are going to live to watch other people playing video games, and they get paid to do that. So the live aspect of life is going to be very, very popular. So I think my parting shot to us is, as we mature as an industry, let's also be open-minded to begin learning from different other markets on what's possible and what's next. And if Wowzi is very, very keen to partner with all of you in terms of testing some of these ideas and building some of this additional value, that's yeah. So we'll be around, we're happy to chat. Wowzi team is also behind there, so whichever of us you can grab, would like to partner with you in one way or another.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, everyone in the room today, for giving us the gift of your time. There are snacks and tea outside. Let's continue the conversation. This is the part where now influence happens offline. So we'll see you there. Thank you.